All right, so welcome to CSC 102. One of your first assignments for this semester is going to be dealing with file management. Yeah, I know, such an exciting topic, right? Sorry, we'll try to have some fun with this one. All right, so keeping your files organized, whether you're hard copies or digital ones, organization is going to be key. All right, and it's not just like, oh, I have a pile of documents over here on my desk. No, you want to keep things organized. And how do we do that in the real world? We do it with folders. And guess what? We have them on the computer too. I know, so exciting, right? All right, so let us go ahead and transition to my desktop and we will start talking about Windows File Explorer. All right, so if we go ahead and open up Windows File Explorer here, there we go, we can see a bunch of folders. All right, and this is our frequent folders. That is what happens when we open File Explorer and it's been closed. And you can do that by on your taskbar at the bottom of the screen. That would be the bar right located all the way across the bottom. All right, I guess I'm drawing. Down here, that's our taskbar icons. We have a folder. And if you look closely at it, it does look like a folder. I know right now it kind of just looks like a square with a little tab signal at the top and like a little funky blue thing. But it is actually a folder if you would look at it. It's supposed to be like a folder on a rack or something. But anyway, if we go ahead and open that up, click on it once, all right, we get to our quick access. And these are things that Windows thinks that we are going to be using frequently. Now, if you do notice, we do have this also over here on the left-hand side of my screen, the exact same folders. We'll come back and talk about that kind of in a minute. Anyway, we have our quick access here. Now, probably one of the most important areas that you are going to be going to on your computer, or at least important things to start referencing, is this PC on the left-hand side. All right, right there for me. So if we go into this PC, we get some folders at the top, we have our device and drivers in the middle, and then we have our network locations at the bottom. So right here, local disk C. This is, as far as I'm concerned, where every Windows install is done. All right, so when whoever installed Windows on your computer, whether it be your friend, your sister, brother, family, co-worker, whoever, or the company you brought it from, when they installed Windows on your hard drive, it is on the C drive. All right. I think you can change it if you really want to. There's no reason to. I wouldn't change it. It will screw with installers and things like that probably. So I would leave it as a C drive. I wouldn't even attempt to change that one. If we look at my computer, we also have a D drive here, which I have labeled as media. All right. So this is where all of my pictures and videos and music and anything else media related, AV. All right. We have a data drive down here. All right, which is all my other stuff. So if I have program installers that I want to keep, my Google Drive might be in there. I don't remember which one of those I put it on. But those types of things. So I have a data drive. I also have an external hard drive for backing up my data. All right. I do have a DVD drive installed on this computer. Not that it gets used very often, but I do have one. All right. And then down here at the bottom under network locations, I have a file or a folder that's called 4TB, and that's 4 terabytes. So I have a 4 terabyte hard drive located on a server named HPZ 400. All right, and this is a Samba-based file share on an Ubuntu system. So a lot of information being put in that that name. All right, but these are all my main drivers or devices that I'm using, not drivers. They're all my local disks. Now, most likely if you have a laptop, you only have one hard drive on your computer, and it's probably going to be the C drive. Now, if you do have a laptop, you may still see multiple drives, all right? Not because necessarily you have multiple hard drives in your computer, but because you can do what's called partitioning. So you can take a hard drive, let's just call a box like this our hard drive, and you can say, I want 2 logical sections to that. So this would be the C drive, and then this one would be the D drive. That's something you may be going, why would I want to partition? Wouldn't it be better to have one large hard drive space than 2 smaller ones? And to some point, the answer is yes. All right. I said all of mine are physically different devices. And, well, it's because I have a desktop tower that has that capability to do. But before I had my desktop and I was running a laptop, I did partition my hard drive into 2 different sections. And the reason for that is because if I ever wanted to reinstall Windows, I didn't have to delete anything on my D drive. All right. So in this case, all my media, all my pictures, my videos, my music, my work stuff, whatever, anything I put on this D drive when I was going to reinstall Windows, because when I reinstall Windows, I completely delete the C drive. It doesn't exist anymore on that hard drive. And I just rewrite data over it. So when I do that, I then don't have to worry about all of my media and everything that's on my other hard drive. So for maintenance purposes and things like that, having that secondary partition is a nice bonus. It is not a necessity by any means, and it's kind of more of a power user approach to it, I would say. And the reason for that is because not everyone's going to go reinstalling Windows on their computer. So something that you can do, so if you see multiple drives on your computer, you may have multiple physical hard drives, or you may have one hard drive with different partitions. Now, going back to that C drive, this is where Windows installs everything. All right. So for Windows, C is going to be what's called our root directory. This is the top level directory of the file system. All other directories within a volume are branches or subdirectories of that root directory. So if we would go into my C drive, in here you can see all of our different subdirectories or branches or whatever you want to call it. The C drive might also be called the C volume. All right, so just something to think about, but to each their own. But root directory is often what you'll hear, and I think that's also kind of starting to go away some. I think that's more from way back when Windows was first developed, that was known as the root directory. But now we have multiple drives because everyone has so much information. So C drive, root directory, or the file system or something like that. So, all right. So this is Windows File Explorer, and this is broken down into multiple different subcategories. So first we have the navigation pane on the left-hand side over here. Now my navigation pane is rather large right now because I have some things expanded. There we go. So we have our navigation pane over here on the left-hand side. And notice we do have a nice little quick action section at the top of this. All right. And again, when we first started File Explorer, that's what we were seeing. So we were seeing the quick access. It's of course not going to let me just type that in. I click here, find what I want. There we go. And you'll notice all of these folders are over here on my left-hand side as well. Windows will put some of those there manually, but you can also choose to put the folders there by yourself. So like my classes folder here. If I wanted to have a CSC folder listed over my quick access, I could right-click on that, click on it first, then right-click, my curiosity think, and it says Pin to Quick Access. And once I click that, you'll notice now that we have CSC 102 listed right there. So you can put whatever folders you want over there on the left-hand side. Do be careful, you don't want to have 30 different folders over there, it gets kind of annoying. So you want to kind of pick and choose, maybe pick your folder where you save a whole bunch of other important folders to. So in this point, instead of my CSC 102 folder, I have my folder called classes. So one click gets me to classes, and then I can pick which class specifically that I want to be dealing with. If you're done with it, you can right click on that folder in the quick access, and then you should be able to say unpin from quick access, and then that file will go away. So navigation pane, and then we also have some other important things down below. We have forward and back buttons right above that. So right up here, you have forward and back buttons. Now, these don't take you forward and back one folder in the folder structure. So if I click up here in the address bar, you'll notice I have D, Google Drive, HCC, and classes. So if you're thinking about this in a truly back button, go back one folder type of way, when I click on the back button, it would take me from classes to my HCC folder. However, when I do that, it takes me back to quick access. And the reason for that is it's taking you back the folder you were previously in. So if I did go to Google Drive, HCC, classes, and now I hit the back button, now it's taking me back logically through how I got there. So it's not going one folder back in the folder structure, it's just going back to the previous folder you were looking at. So that is a very powerful tool, but it can be kind of confusing. You can also go forward if you haven't clicked on something else yet. So another important aspect there. I did quickly mention the address bar up here. This is what I'm going to call the human readable address bar. So everything's spaced out nicely. It makes life kind of simple. We got the little arrow triangle-y things pointing to the right. If you click on that, though, you'll see the more computer version where it shrinks it down, puts it, as necessary. Just uses slashes and whatnot to go between stuff. So it's kind of a, more computer version. This is what we used to deal with all the time, but now when you're not in there, it does that. We have column headings. Now, right now, I am on the detail view. So I have these column headings here, which I find to be extremely useful. And you can actually add your own more column headings to this. If you right-click next to the one on the far right, or if you click on one of them, right-click, you can see we have others that are most likely used, and then you also have a more list, and this list is extremely long. All right. Personally, I find these to be the ones that I'm going to use the most. So we have a name topper, which if we look right here, there's a little triangle up there. And that tells us that we are currently sorting the files via that column. And we're sorting them alphabetically ascending. So, or descending, however you want to call it, whatever way you want to look at it. We start alphabetically at the top of the page, and then we go to the bottom of the alphabet. And numbers and symbols are before our letters. So that is something that is very important to be thinking about. So if we were to click on that again, you'll see that arrow is going to flip direction. It's now going to point down. So now we're starting at Z and working our way back to the top. All right. You will also notice that in this case, folders are staying all grouped together. So we have our files alphabetically sorted, and then we have our folders alphabetically sorted. Another powerful one is date modified. If you know that you recently downloaded something and you're like, where's that file in my downloads folder? All right. If you have it sorted by alphabetical, which if you look at mine, there's a lot of files in my download folder, 111 of them to be exact. I do sort my downloads by the date modified. All right. And that's just because normally if I'm looking for something recently downloaded, not something I downloaded last week. Really, I should come through here and delete things, but overall, it's not a big issue for me. I have the hard drive space to spare, kind of. Though this is 3.6 gigs of data in here that I probably should go and delete most of. But anyway, date modified is an important one, or a very helpful one. Type, though, big fan of type. If I'm just going to have like a default sorting, I am torn between type sorting and name sorting. All right, those two they go back and forth. Type sorting is great because if you notice, it sorts by the file type. Now, normally you won't see these file types, but I like to be able to see them, so I've got a checkbox check somewhere. So we can see the file types at the end of the files, and we are sorting them in a descending order, which is kind of funky, but that's okay. Oh no, we're sorting by this. That's it. We're not actually sorting by the actual extension. We're sorting by the program that opens said file type, which is why we have X's before D's, before S's, it's all over the place. But if you look over here by the type, obviously, because that's the folder we clicked on, you will see all of the different file names. And again, these are the actual programs that are opening them. So that's why PDFs are first, Excels are next. And notice we have Excel macro and Excel worksheet. That would be why, even though you're like, these are all Excel files here, we have an Excel name first, then we go to a number, and then we go back to normal letters again. And that's because the file type is ever so slightly different. So just something to keep your eye on. But I find that very useful when you know you're looking for an Excel file, but you don't know what it's called anymore because you downloaded it so long ago. You don't know when you downloaded it, you don't know what it's called, but you know it's an Excel file. Very powerful sorting tool. And then size. Not used so super frequently for me, but when you're trying to like clean up hard drive space or those types of things, size becomes a very important one. Now, if you don't like the details view, if you go ahead and click on the top here, at least on my computer right now, I have the top, what they call, let's see, what is Windows called again? The ribbon. I have my ribbon hidden. All right. Default File Explorer has three tabs. We have a Home tab, we have a Share tab, and we have a View tab. And you'll notice that Home tab, doesn't always. Sometimes that Home tab disappears, or Share or whatever. So, but there we have my ribbon showing now. Now, if you click. You notice on the far right over here, right below the X, my thing got really big. Can't figure out how it's magically doing that. Anyway, there's that little drop-down arrow right there. All right. So right now that's an arrow. If I click on one of these, it becomes a little pin. Basically, it's saying, do you want to keep your ribbon open all the time? And on my desktop computer, oftentimes I do have that pinned. On laptops where you have a smaller real estate on the screen, I have a 29-inch screen at home or something like that right now. Having that open, I don't, doesn't bother me. On my laptop, which is sitting right here next to me, all right, that one I don't have a lot of screen real estate on, so I like to be able to see all my more files at once. So oftentimes it's hidden. So you can click that little arrow if you want to keep it there, or keep the little pin button if you want to keep it there. But if we go to the View tab, you'll see you've got a whole bunch of different layout options. So you have extra large icons, which truly are great for pictures. Let's just pick a folder here. Oh, that was a bad folder. There we go. We'll show off my little daughter. Yeah, so extra large is kind of nice when you're looking through a whole folder of pictures and you want to be able to actually see the pictures without having to click on them. But otherwise, large, small, tiles, content, lists, medium. I like details. That's just my favorite one. So that's what I often am sticking with. There's a whole bunch of other stuff up here in the long run, but this is something you're just going to have to play with and go through and figure out what you like, what you don't like. Nothing you do up here should break anything. So you should be able to click on whatever buttons it is that you want, and it won't actually hurt anything. All right, so that's kind of it for overall File Explorer. We hit up File Path. Oh, we didn't talk about libraries. So libraries are your computer are a way to combine multiple physical folders on your hard drive, so they're still virtual, but folders on your hard drive into one location without actually having to move all of your files to that exact same spot. And a great example of that is pictures. Back to this. So right now you see this PC pictures. Notice there's no drive letter. So like when I was in Google Drive, it said Media D. But when I'm in Pictures, it just says Pictures. And that's because the Pictures folder is a library. So if I right click and look at my properties here, and I go to location, you'll notice that my pictures are located in D:/pictures. You could have multiple folders here. So maybe you have so many pictures that you have multiple hard drives of pictures. Well, you could add more locations and whatnot to this. So that way you can have all of those hard drives showing all the pictures in one location instead of having to have them spread across all over the place. If you have that many pictures, music, video, whatever, that you have multiple hard drives, it's time to have a backup solution, and probably a NAS, a network area storage, or something for yourself. So something to look into. But libraries, so pictures is libraries, video, documents, there's a whole bunch of different libraries that Windows comes with, and I believe you can create your own if you really want to. Now, to help keep yourself sane, you want to have a good naming convention. And truthfully, if you look at some of my files in here, I don't have the best naming convention. All right, I have class schedule fall 2020. For what class? Like, what is that telling me? That's not telling me a whole lot. So that is a poor naming convention. Now, if I go into CSC 102 and I go to my public documents, so here you can see, again, just schedule fall 2020. Not a great naming convention, all right? Where this top one, CSC 102 syllabus fall 20, that is a good naming convention. It tells me the class, it tells me what the file is, what the purpose is, and what year it's for. So that one is a much better naming convention. And you may be going, man, why do I have to put that it's CSC 102 in this name when it's already in a folder called CSC 102? And believe me, I have that same problem. Like, it's redundant. I shouldn't have to do that. And, it is redundant. And it does take a little extra time, and it's a little annoying to be reading things saying, well, I already know this is CSC 102. Why I have to just ignore that and keep reading the file name. But when you go to download something and it throws it in here and it just says software R&D assignment, and you're like, for what? Or down here I have CS3A. What is CS4 and 24? Like, what is this? All right, this doesn't tell me a whole lot. So having a good naming scheme for when you download a file, it makes everybody else's life that much easier. Screenshot 2020, like, that is a horrible file name. It's the one that downloaded from the internet. It's whoever saved this file and sent it to me. That's what they called it. But it's like, that doesn't tell me anything. So in 6 months when I'm looking through my files, I'm like, what is screenshot? Like, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the CSUS logo, which if you notice, it's basically the same thing when I jump between them. But you need to make sure you have a good naming convention. Now also, to help keep yourself sane, you want to have a good file structure. All right. Just having everything like this in my downloads folder, again, is a very poor file structure, because you never know what goes with what and all those other fun things. So back to if we look at my classes folder. So to get here, it's media. This seems like a lot of hops to me, but it's media, Google Drive, HCC, classes, and then I finally get there. So that's 4 hops before I can even select which class I'm trying to look at and work with. That seems a bit nuts, if you ask me. That's the way the game works, though. So 4 hops to get here, but there's a reason I have a shortcut over here on the left-hand side. So instead of having to do that every time, I can just use my little shortcut, which will just jump me right to it. So little short and sweet, those what the quick access is for, is places that you're going to use often. And then even if you go into my classes, let's go in CSC, you'll see other folders within there. So I have 5 folders, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5th one, so if I go to public documents, before I even see things. Now, some may say you can never have too many folders. I say that's a lie. If you have 100 folders that you have to click through to find a file, that's starting to get ridiculous. Now, maybe for like archiving stuff, stuff you're not going to use very often, you start doing that. So like my pictures. If you notice, 2003 to 2019, when I have digital pictures for, I have folders specifically for that year. Once we go to the current year of 2020, and I don't know why I have a 2016 one here. That's fine. Let's get rid of that. Once we get to 2020, all of those folders are in the real world. They are just in the pictures folder. And that's just, again, to keep me from having to click and open up one more folder when I'm trying to find these pictures. Most likely, if I'm looking for a picture, it's going to be from the 2020 year at this point. Maybe I'm going to go back to the 2019 for something, but most likely I'm not going to go back to all these previous years unless I'm looking for something specific. And let me tell you, if you go back to the previous years, some of these, these aren't always organized the best. All right, and if we do look at my naming convention for my folders, it is the year, the month, the day that picture was taken, or that the pictures were taken, and then I've started to add a little extra qualifier at the end. So here it says 2020-01-24 brother announcement. So this is the pictures of my daughter saying that we're going to have a newborn this year. So little things to keep your life being easier. Now, I don't truly understand why when we tell someone the date, we do month, day, year. So it's like, oh, it's August 28th, 2020. It's like, doesn't it make sense to start with the largest quantifier, 2020, and then say August 28th? And if we just ignore the year qualifier, we know it's the current year? It doesn't make sense. But it's the way the world works. It's all we do. I stick with year first. And the other reason I do that for is so when I do sort by name on my computer, if I did have all these 2019 pictures in here, it would still put 2019 pictures on top of 2020. So it would still group by year. If you go have your month labeled first, it's going to group by month, and every year is going to be interspersed with each other, and that's just going to drive me personally absolutely nuts. It took me a while to come up with that system. I'm like, man, I hate having fall before 2020. It just doesn't make sense for me. But that's the way the game works. Now, let's say you don't want your entire pictures folder and you're like, all right, time to delete this off my hard drive because I'm running out of hard drive space. If we look at my C drive, I only have 26 gigs left of my 223. So I only have roughly, what, 1/7 of my hard drive space left? That's not a hard drive space for my main drive. Now we look at my media, I have 163 gigs. My data, I have 74. I have plenty of hard drive space to spare right now, especially if we start looking at my network stored back here. But my main drive, 30 gigs, not a lot, especially if you're trying to install certain programs, like some of my CAD stuff and those types of things. So you're like, time to clear out. So we're going to go into my downloads, and let's just do this. I have no clue what all this is, but we're just going to, we'll start with this. And I'm going to hit the delete button. Oh, that's fine. We can skip that. Just skip it all. All right. And then you're like, ah, crap, I needed one of those files I just deleted. Windows traditionally does not delete things right off the bat. So again, if I just select some files, so I'm clicking on one, holding shift and hitting delete, it just deletes them. Doesn't ask you anything, it just deletes them. And now, you know, you don't have that second guess yourself and go, do I really need that file? It's gone. Well, it's not really gone. Normally, Windows puts things into your recycling bin, all right, which is traditionally on the top left-hand corner of your screen, all right? At least I bet that's where it was when you got your computer. Now, if you've had your computer for a while and you've organized, and I'm starting to call it, to me, this is unorganized. There's way too much stuff going on my desktop, all right? So I need to come through and organize this all better. Windows normally puts it there. I believe at one point it was in the top right or the bottom left corner. Yes, I know I just put an arrow on myself, but that's just the way the game works. But right now, Windows normally puts recycling bin in that top left-hand corner when you at least first get your computer. All right. So if we go ahead into the recycling bin, you will see all of those files that I just deleted, and you can restore one. So if you come into your recycling bin, notice also, quick side note here, that when we're in the recycling bin, there's a new tab up here that says Manage, and it says Recycling Bin Tools over it. Let me circle that better. All right, so we have a new tab. So if we want to restore a file, you could click on it and say Restore the selected items. All right, there's a Restore All Items button. I don't want to do that because there's a bunch of video files in here that I don't want. If you're in the recycling bin and you select files and you hit delete on them, notice it says very specifically, do you want to, oh, didn't get the bar, permanently delete. All right, once you permanently delete, unless you're gonna quick turn your computer off and go hire someone to recover deleted files, they're gone. All right, I mean, they're not truly gone. We'll talk about hard drives later this semester. At least not right away, they're not truly gone. But as far as Windows is concerned, they don't exist anymore. It has deleted them from its memory. They are still on the hard drive, but they're not accessible anymore. So once you want to empty recycling bin. Now, inside, again, on that Manage tab, we do have a empty recycling bin button. I really don't like that color. Let's get like a red. That's a bit better. I really want something that's gonna pop. Blue isn't it? Anyway, let's go back to that one. So we can empty our recycling bin, and that will delete everything. And again, it's gonna ask you, are you sure you want to permanently delete these items? So almost all of the time, you're gonna have your files come here to the recycling bin. If for some odd reason you do not have the recycling bin link in the top corner on your desktop anymore, you can get there just by opening up File Explorer and typing recycle bin, and it will take you there. Now, slightly different note. If you are deleting a file and it's huge, all right, actually this one might qualify. No, not big enough. All right, anyway, but if we're gonna delete a file that's really large, it may pop up with, again, are you sure you want to permanently delete these items? All right, so I forced it to do that, but if you're gonna delete like a large video file or something like that, it may be like, hey, we're just gonna get rid of this completely. It's not worth moving to the trash bin, it's too big, yada, yada, yada. So that is something to be aware of. All right. Also, if you want to empty your recycling bin, you can also right-click on the recycling bin on your desktop and say empty there as well. And it says, are you sure you want to permanently delete? Now, I only had one file, which is why it's giving me the specifics. Normally, it would say multiple files. So, all right. So that's kind of recycling bin and File Explorer. Now, one other thing that I want to cover, all right, because for your file management assignment here, yeah, we can bring that up. You've got some questions to answer at the top, and then we have some screenshots that you are expected to do. So you're going to be following the steps here using File Explorer to do certain things. All right. So what I highly suggest that you do, there's actually two great ways to insert snips into Microsoft Word at this point. Option one is to use what's called the snipping tool. All right. So it used to be you want to do a screenshot, you would, there's a button on your keyboard that says print screen. So if we would hit that button, and then if I just, let's go to the end of this document to put it in, I'm going to paste it, you'll notice that it grabs my entire desktop. So I have, let me grab this again. So I have the main window that we've been showing you guys this whole time right here. I have my secondary screen over here. All right. I'm like, I don't need all that information. So you can do print screen, and then you can say, well, I only want, this little bit of word. So we could right click, we can crop this down. All right. And, we can do that type of thing. Okay, there we go. And we can blow it up bigger. So that is an option. However, there is a better way as far as I'm concerned, and it's called the snipping tool. Now, I have it bookmarked on my taskbar because I do use it that frequently for class stuff. If you do not have it saved to your taskbar, if you go to the Windows menu and start typing snipping, SNI is all I typed in, and it's the only option I have on my computer. Now, the snipping tool does have 3 or 4 different modes. So right there is a mode button. We click that, we have the freeform snip, the rectangular, the window, or the full screen. All right, so full screen snip is going to be, I believe, yep, just like, I can't zoom out. Don't know how to do that. All right, anyway, it's going to be just like using that print screen button on your keyboard. So it grabs your entire desktop. I'm a bigger fan of the rectangular snip. And once you click on that, you'll notice everything kind of went light gray for a second. Hopefully it's recording this. I assume it is, but I don't really know. So what the snipping tool actually did is it kind of took a quick picture of your desktop, and now it's saying, what of this do you actually care about? And then you can, if you notice I have a little cursor at the giant plus, I can just draw a box around what I care, and that kind of grayness goes away. So I can go, okay, that's what I care about, I let go, and now it's only going to grab that important little bit there. All right. You could also do a window snip, which I do find useful. All right, and it's saying which window do I want. And hold on, let's get multiple windows up here. Let's pull File Explorer back up too. At least multiple windows that you guys can see. There we go. There we go. All right, snipping tool, mode, window, and oh, this is grabbing just the whole screen. Okay, so the full screen grabs everything on your desktop if you have multiple monitors. Window snip grabs one full screen if you have multiple monitors. Rectangular is the one I like because it allows you to just draw a box around what you care about. So if all I wanted to do is just the windows here, I could just do that and let go, and now it's going to grab just Microsoft Word. You could also do the freeform if you have something really crazy, like you don't want everyone to see, everything about Microsoft Word. You can draw this kind of funkiness, whatever box you want, and it only grabs that box. So if there's something important right here that you didn't want someone to see, well, you can kind of crop that out pretty easily with that. All right. So you can use a snipping tool to insert those pictures. However, I have found the actual easier way. And with these boxes here, we click on one, it's going to say, where do you want to get a file from? You can browse through your computer and go find wherever you just saved those snips. Another option is right inside Microsoft Word. Now, if we go to the Insert tab and we do Screenshot, there is screen clipping as an option there. So Screenshot says, what do you want? Do you want to insert the Word file, my calendar, my OBS, or the File Explorer, or do you want to draw? And if you draw, once you click this, Word is going to go away, and it's going to show you your desktop. And then it's going to wait like a second and allow you to pick what you want. Now, in that second, you can quick try to do things. So if I do screen clipping and then I quick click on File, notice that it let me open that. And now I can say, oh, I want this. Boom, and it puts that in there. So I really breezed over this a minute ago, but if you need to crop something down, because you're like, it's too big, whatever the purpose, if we right click on it, then there's a little screen that pops up that says crop, so you can do that. And then if you notice, there are these little black lines right in the middle, and there's also a little black triangle, little picture framey things, like you'd see a photographer doing, or someone doing that to frame something, right in the top corners. So you can drag those to crop your picture down. And you'll notice that your mouse changes when you get onto one of those crop points versus when you get onto a resize point. So make sure that you do resize your pictures. If you give me a whole desktop picture for this assignment, and I'm looking for something specific in your window, and I'm like, well, I can't see whatever that specific item is because you put your whole desktop, and once you save your file, you don't get the whole quality, and I can't, crop it and whatnot to tell what you're doing, you're going to lose your points. So make sure that you do, shrink your pictures accordingly. If you don't put your pictures in here, make sure and delete them if you're going to use the insert snipping tool option from the screenshot. All right. But yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me or your instructor if you are not in my class, because I think this video will get circulated around to all of them. And hopefully this was not the most boring video that you've had to watch for school today. Have a good day, guys. Bye.